Hello and welcome to Malabo, a city of roughly 187,000 people. Malabo, the capital of Equatorial Guinea, with roughly 1.2 million citizens of the world's roughly 7 billion people, of whom at least 4 billion are already digital citizens.
And here she comes, Olivia, in her 30s, one of the fewest rising female stars of the virtual business world in Africa, from one of the least digitally connected countries on the continent, Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah, Tech Campus is an event that started as a social event of HILARY with the aim of unify entrepreneurs, innovators, developers, and people that are interested in technology. So it's a platform to share, to create like a network, a professional network, and to promote the ICT sector for the youth here in Equatorial Guinea.
The GSMA Mobile for Development program has different areas of activities, and one of them is to support innovation. The GSMA Ecosystem Accelerator is a program that selects startups that have already reached a certain level of maturity and bring them on that growth path that will enable them to become maybe African champions.
Today, one of the leading figures of the EQUATO Guinean Technology Camp Initiative to encourage digital transformation, Olivia is a symbol of a country determined to speedily open its processes to the electronic businesses in Africa and Central Africa in particular.
What it motivates, I can say that the youth here in Equatorial Guinea start to identify the needs that we have here in the country, and they start to understand that new technology can help to satisfy those needs. And I think with that, that idea and the passion that they have, they are getting more involved in this digital transformation.
Here we are looking at a very important tool. We are looking at digital transformations as a means to improving productivity, as a means to improving competitiveness of this region and achieve economic diversification, breaking away from this vicious circle of dependence on the export of raw materials.
Just like a country lad, CELSO is involved in the agro-business domain to market the made-in-EQUATO Guinean model through the online space in the country with about 1.3 million people and a total surface area, of whom about 98% is covered by forests naturally.
The project basically starts for diversification. Due that in Equatorial Guinea today, we don't have anybody that can prove that they have like 5 hectares of mango or avocados. We don't have that in Equatorial Guinea. The price of the product, mango and avocado, is very high in the market. Today we are still still importing mangoes and avocados from Cameroon, from Nigeria, from Ghana. We have our ground is very fertile, and it's good for us to try to work by ourselves, to start making products that originally made in EG.
Digital transformation on the continent is a reality. You know, looking 10 years prior, there was really nothing going on in terms of the digital space, in terms of mobile penetration, the cost, broadband and laying of optical fibers around the continent. But so far, we witness an increase in those activities. But what I would like to point out is the fact that despite the ecosystem still being very nascent, we need to understand that Africa is 54 states. So it's various, and they don't have the same level of progress. So looking at an index, looking at an average, it might look like the progress is very small, but individually, some countries are doing better than others.
Their penchant for a mobile society builds the momentum in a community considered as the least digitalized student of Africa and Central Africa specifically.
Basically, based on the project, based on what we are working on, today we have more than 5,000 trees planted of avocado and mango. But the aim is to plant like 15,000 mangoes and 15,000 avocados, and then 10,000 cherimoyas. That is the aim. What we are waiting for win monthly, because I can't give you daily, the average is to have about 15 million a month. Net income, yeah.
I can tell you that digital transformation is let's say, transform the way we create things, the way we produce things, the way we buy things, and it kind of, let's say, improve all these processes, and it kind of reduce the cost. I can give you an example. In the past edition of the Tech Campus, this last May, in the booth camp was like a program that we had in the Tech Campus, that is the pre-incubator. So the programs, the projects that the participants presented in the booth camp are projects that are solving real problems in our society.
The stories of these young Equatorial Guineans testify the quest for digital transformation in Central Africa, especially within the economic and monetary community of Central African States Zone, with roughly 51 million people to embark on the train of diversification of their economies, heavily dependent on petroleum and agrarian products since independence, plus half a century ago.
If we compare some of the data and numbers that are applicable for Central Africa with those of Sub-Saharan Africa, we see that on average in Sub-Saharan Africa, we're reaching the 50% of the population being using mobile services. So sometimes within the industry, we consider that we're halfway. There is still the second half of the African population to connect. If we look closer to Central Africa, I would say that we're closer to 40%. And here again, I'm just giving you rough numbers. What is also important is to differentiate who is accessing mobile and those that are actually using their mobile to access internet. Because internet, as we know, is really a transformative tool for social and economic development. In Central Africa, we're closer to 25% of the population using mobile internet, which is, if we look at mobile broadband, and I'm here referring to 3G, 4G, around 30% of the users are using those technologies.
Even when we have access to fiber optic, that access does not reach the last mile, meaning there are lots of citizens in Central Africa, they don't have access to internet, or when they have access to internet, the service is extremely expensive, which results exactly in the same problem. The affordability is one major issue.
Looking at the internet penetration in Africa, I would like to put them in blocks. You know, the highest penetration in internet penetration in Africa is mostly found in North and the Southern region of Africa, with the least being in Central Africa. Looking at Central Africa, let's talk about the CEMAC region, for example, where I happen to originate from. You'd see that the internet penetration in Gabon is the highest in the CEMAC region, while in Central Africa is the lowest. And looking at an average of the cost of 1 gigabyte of internet in the CEMAC region, it's at $10. That's about 6,000 francs CFA. So the progress is made on different fronts, but I think the earlier these countries are able to unify their policies and work together, the progress is going to be more visible and it's really going to have an impact on the populations.
The Global Future Determining Club holds that by 2025, the global digital market space will be roughly $23 trillion, with artificial intelligence to be a key element in a machine predominantly controlled world, and Central Africa is working out strategies to be part of that economy, a knowledge-based economy where commercial transactions will fundamentally be online in a world rapidly moving towards a cashless society.
If we look at the few years ahead of us, GSMA Intelligence provides projections and does a prospective modeling. And by 2025, we will have 31 million new mobile users in Central Africa. Today, approximately 60% of the population is covered by mobile networks in Central Africa. Sometimes there is a lot of focus on the remaining 30% to be connected, to be covered. And those 60% refer to 3G and 4G, let me be specific. If we were considering also 2G, that would be 70%. So today, 60% of the population has the opportunity to access internet through their mobile and here broadband internet. If out of the 60%, there are actually 40% of people that are not using the service. So today, one of the big challenges that have been pointed out and largely discussed here during the Committee of Intergovernmental Experts for Central Africa of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa is how to close that usage gap, how to promote digital skills for those investments that were implemented to provide mobile internet coverage to the population is not put yet to its full benefit.
We have like 4 focus priority areas. The first one is to reduce poverty eradication. Second one is to boost an inclusive and peaceful society. The third one is environmental sustainability. And the fourth one is productivity and industrialization. So we have a digital agenda that is transversal to all these 4 focus areas. Because in order to really eradicate poverty, a way to move forward, to advance, will be to introduce ITC, information and technology, information and communication technologies in our policies to eradicate poverty. In order to boost inclusive and peaceful society, technology can play a very good role. In order to protect the environment, technology can play a very good role. In order to really boost productivity and industrialization, so technology can play a good role, and a really serious role. So we see the digital agenda we have as a transversal, as a common element in all these focus areas. So technology is a key issue.
A few months ago this year, 2019, more than 450 million people used online mobile phone services in Africa. That is more than the American and European consumers combined. African governments are frantically investing in the digital world